I have witnessed your actions in this cycle. The Reapers perceive you as a threat. And I must understand why. Your memories give voice to our words.
It's easy to forget what we fight for.
Way home is through Leviathan.
Your mind belongs to me. Why do you pursue me?
In the darkest hour, there is always a way out.
How did you make it out alive?
I started digging the wrong way. You either claw your way out through the rock with your bare hands, or you die.
Welcome to episode 3 of Choose Wisely, a thematic exposition of the events that take place throughout the Mass Effect game series by BioWare. Events that lead the player down a path filled with choices and divergence, but that seem to converge into a near identical set of 3 choices at its climax. What follows these choices has been left entirely up to interpretation. At this point, many players have settled on what the dreams may mean for them and their shepherd. They have made this choice, and for better or for worse, have chosen which way to dig. In episode 3, we will explore the final symptom of indoctrination. Yet again, we are faced with a symptom that is expressed only in the narrative and is never expounded upon by the Codex. Dreams. Dreams are mentioned or expressed more often than any other symptom covered by the narrative or the Codex. Yet the Codex entry itself remains devoid of any information on the subject, even after dreams are presented directly to the player in Mass Effect 3. But perhaps that's because if the Codex were to create this association, the significance of Shepard's dreams would be clear, and we'd have nothing to speculate about.
Was he indoctrinated? You're indoctrinated!
Could be indoctrinated.
You're indoctrinated.
I could say the same of you. Wasting time on a war that can't be won.
It's hard to say.
But what if there is a deeper, narrative explanation for it?
I don't know.
In past episodes, we briefly referenced parts of Shepard's dreams on several occasions, to cross-reference elements of them with narrative or thematic situations from earlier in the trilogy. Now, we'll take a closer look at the visual aspects presented therein, and see if we can discern the overall picture they paint.
I'm fine. Hell of a headache.
Most interpretations of the dreams all share one thing in common, that they seem out of place, forced, and make a very transparent attempt to encourage the player to forge a specific emotional connection. They are completely segregated from the rest of the narrative and have Shepard behaving completely out of character and beyond our control. In fact, the dreams eventually go so far as to force Shepard down a straight path. The player is allowed no freedom of choice, and the scenes cannot be skipped. Even going the wrong way, and in the case of the third dream, standing completely still, will yield the same results. BioWare made it clear on a number of occasions that the dreams in Mass Effect 3 were intended to garner empathy from the players regarding Earth, that the boy featured in the prologue and within the dreams was to represent loss. We control Shepard during a slow-motion pursuit of the boy. We could be trying to save him from the Reapers, or maybe even save him from himself.
You can't help me.
The fire never actually seems to scare or hurt the child, though he is frightened by the Reaper horn and red light. We do see Shepard react negatively to the fire, but seem otherwise unaffected by anything else. These reactions by Shepard and the boy could have any meaning, and the fact that both look directly into the camera suggests that we can make that determination ourselves. But why do we see our Shepard burning with the boy in the third and final dream?
Are you all right?
Despite our freedom to interpret the meaning of these dreams, they do create a disconnect between Shepard and the player for the first time in the trilogy. They are forced on us, and we are unable to influence their outcome in any way. Prior to this, we've had a much greater degree of control over Shepard's emotional reactions. For many, this disconnect caused players to dip outside the narrative for explanations and justification, often in the form of blaming the authors and publisher. However, these immersion-breaking disconnects are always succeeded by rich and sometimes profound emotional content that pulls the player right back into the story.
Choose to fight.
Rather than eventually give us the answer like a typical story would, the narrative seems to do its best to distract us from them. The only certainty is that the dreams leave us confused and unsure, both of which are vital elements of indoctrination. And something we face head-on during our final trip to the Citadel. Since the dreams aren't really part of the main narrative, they leave a lot of unanswered questions. It should be easy to just shrug and cast them aside, but there are some considerations we should take a look at first.
You've always been short-sighted, hasty.
Most of the scenes in the game can be skipped entirely. Even plot-critical conversations and events can be brushed aside with the push of a button. There are only a few portions of the game that we can't skip, and the dreams are among them, despite the fact that at face value, they are simply disruptive to the story and offer nothing tangible to the lore. That probably means we should try a bit harder to figure out the meaning of these dreams. But a direct approach obviously doesn't work. That leaves only one thing we can look into: symbolism. The visual elements of these dreams are loaded with it. Granted, it looks like we should just be able to settle on our own interpretation, especially since what we think about this has no bearing on the end of our story. But let's assume for a second that there is a solid thematic purpose for these dreams, and that it does mean something. If that is the case, the only chance we have to find it is by closely examining these symbolic elements. It's safe to say that at this point we are all very familiar with the individual elements of the dreams and what they might symbolize. The dreams themselves are segregated from the narrative, but the symbolism may not be restricted to the dreams alone.
Nobody takes my weapon.
I'm not surrendering my gun. Period.
Figured they say something about our weapons.
Civilians are not permitted to carry weapons on the Citadel.
My name's Shepard. I'm a Spectre.
Prove it.
I don't have to prove anything. Spectres are above the law. We clear?
crystal.
Good.
Fisk knows we're coming.
Look out!
Come and get it, Solarian. It'll be the last mistake you make. I just killed 50 bodyguards to get in here. What do you think I'll do? Tell me where that meeting is before I blow your lying head off.
Oh my gods.
Interesting solution.
Quick, shoot them.
Too slow.
We've chosen to uphold your Spectre status.
John Dumba, Special Tactics and Recon.
Spectre status recognized.
Spectres are above the law.
Civilians are not permitted to carry weapons on the Citadel.
What's that, Commander? I'm losing your signal.
Why would Shepard become progressively unarmed in a recurring nightmare? And that leads us to an even bigger question. Why don't we have our own gun on the Citadel? Or our squad mates for that matter? This is the first and worst possible time for Shepard to be alone and unarmed while disembarked from the Normandy anywhere.
The galaxy's at war with the Reapers.
We're at war with the Reapers right now.
There is no war. There is only the harvest. Except this.
If I close my eyes,
When it's silent, when there's no one else around, I can hear it. Whispers in the back of my mind. I can't tell what they're saying.
There are two forms of whispering that take place in the dreams. The indistinguishable whispers are much like the oily shadows in that they match a known symptom of indoctrination. The other whispers, which we can make out and read via subtitles, come from fallen friends or companions from Shepard's past. These whispers seem to convey the strength and resolve these characters showed during the events leading up to their death, and they don't match any known indoctrination symptom.
That won't happen. Go get him, Commander. I'll see you all when you get back.
I know how this will end, but I will not back down. I can't. Face me in single combat, Shepard. Let me die with honor.
It's a hell of a job, isn't it, Shepard? Being the good guys.
Your courage for my people will be remembered. You won't be alone in my fight.
We never see Shepard react to these voices. It's possible they are targeted towards us, the player, much like the looks into the camera. So how do they make us feel? That could be the point. We can link some of this symbolism to things that happen outside of the dreams. But remember, dreams are not listed as a symptom in the Codex. But that shouldn't stop us from digging deeper, and it won't.
Dig till we hit daylight, huh? Works for me.
Shepard.
I woke up this morning in a cold sweat. The nightmare was back.
Reapers are coming, she says.
Even now I can see it in my mind. Why won't this stop?
Take her to the med bay and patch her up. We want Shepard alive.
We are assuming control. I am sovereign, and this station is mine.
I should thank you, Shepard. After Vermeer, I couldn't stop thinking about what you said. About Sovereign manipulating me. About indoctrination. I was implanted to strengthen my resolve.
Indoctrination remotely alters the thought processes of organics. Rather than directly controlling them, it causes them to draw new conclusions and act on them. To our understanding, it is an irreversible process that physically alters the brain. In the case of the collectors, the modifications went far beyond that. Many components that make up the basic structure of an organic had been physically replaced with Reaper tech.
As Protheans failed, Reapers added tech to compensate. No glands replaced by tech, no digestive system replaced by tech, no soul replaced by tech. Whatever they were, gone forever. Understand now? Tools for Reapers. Protheans dead, collectors just final insult. Must be destroyed.
Without these Reaper tech components, the Reapers would not be able to directly control the collectors. We learn in Retribution that only Reaper tech, such as nanides, allows for two-way communication between a Reaper agent and a Reaper. The nanides transform Grayson's body and allow for the Reapers to reach into his mind from dark space and take direct control of him.
Whatever they were, gone forever.
In summary, the fact of the matter is that the lore states the Reapers cannot assume direct control without massive, visible Reaper tech alterations. Without them, the most they can do is provide one-way influence via indoctrination.
Nothing's ever simple, is it?
That does not seem to be the case when it comes to advanced organics, though. Both the Thorian and Leviathan exhibit innate two-way communication and mind control abilities, which puts them far ahead of the Reapers.
I am sovereign. Your death is assured.
We want Shepard alive.
Our kind sing through touchings of thought. When we speak, one moves all. Our minds are not as yours. We can only learn to sing in harmony. Without a mother, children are lost to silence. Your way of communicating is strange, flat. It does not color the air. We pluck the strings, and the other understands.
The Rachni use a mysterious method of communication that is largely alien and unknown to other organic species. The details we receive on it come straight from the young Rachni Queen, but are mostly figurative and metaphorical. Despite that, there are several conclusions we can reach based on this information.
Touchings of thought. One moves all.
When combined with what we learn about the historical events regarding the Rachni, this information tells us that the Rachni communicate as a whole. It is elegant and effective, however it seems to have an exploitable weakness in that the song can be hijacked. This allows the Rachni children to be repurposed. While the Queen herself cannot be controlled, the offspring are at the mercy of whoever controls the song that they hear.
You know, my lab studied the Rachni. Long-distance communication with no time lag, the ability to control workers.
You studied the Rachni?
At short range, the Queen uses pheromones to give orders. At long range, she uses an organic kind of quantum entanglement communicator.
Really?
If we assume these statements by Bryson and Traynor are correct, That means the Rachni could theoretically be in constant communication with one another all over the galaxy. One would think that with such a network, they would have wiped out the Council races with astounding efficiency during the Rachni Wars. Furthermore, we just learned from the Queen in Mass Effect 1 that Rachni communication is broadcast, not point-to-point. An inherent entangled particle communications network infrastructure would have created an entirely different scenario, and it would be safe from hijacking. The Rachni would have been completely immune to indoctrination or tampering of any kind, and pheromone communication would be ineffective at directly controlling members of other species, especially if on the other side of a sealed tank.
Whatever Leviathan does must be similar, entangling particles to stimulate neural activity. It uses the artifact to establish a connection, and then it controls the mind of anyone near it.
You said Leviathan's control was similar to a quantum entanglement communicator, which is untraceable.
Yes, but this isn't a natural QEC. Leviathan has to send a pulse through the artifact to alter your mind and create the quasi-QEC effect.
And that can be traced.
Right.
That makes no sense.
Commander Shepard.
Our introduction to the QEC takes place on one of the Cerberus research stations at the beginning of Mass Effect 2. Later, on the Normandy, we have the option to talk to EDI in more detail about the technology.
What's this area of the ship?
Normandy is fitted with a quantum entanglement communicator linked to the Elusive Man's office. This allows lag-free communication even when you operate off the comm grid.
Why aren't these used everywhere?
Each quantum pair costs nearly as much as a comm relay. In addition to the cost and bandwidth issues, the system is strictly point-to-point. To contact 100 different worlds, we would need to manufacture and install 100 entangled pairs, one linked to each world.
That's all for now.
Minor information on the QEC can be found in the Codex after this conversation. However, it is placed within the entry for the Normandy SR2 and is not mentioned anywhere else in the Codex. Let's analyze this tech based on what we see in Mass Effect 2. Going by EDI's description of QEC technology, the principle behind it is based on a fundamental concept of real-life quantum mechanics. It is a pair of particles that share a link which is not affected by relativity in any way. This form of communication does not rely on any comm buoy infrastructure or the mass relay network either. This means that the change states created by the quantum bits of data cannot be intercepted. Quantum entanglement communication is also not susceptible to signal loss or signal interference of any kind.
We have a handful of quantum entanglers spread out over the continents. All other communication is cut.
The pair of particles we have access to in Mass Effect 2 allowed for communication between the Normandy and the Elusive Man even from beyond the Omega-4 relay near the galactic core. Effectively, it is a truly instant and fail-proof point-to-point method of communication, the downsides being bandwidth limitations and each particle being unable to communicate with anything else besides its sister particle. We engage with Shepard in Mass Effect 3 only moments before the Reapers invade the Sol system and launch an attack on Earth. During the flight from Earth, we receive a call from Hackett over the standard comm systems. During this initial conversation with Hackett, it is understandable to get signal interference. In fact, receiving this message at all is somewhat of a miracle, given that the Reapers would have likely targeted and destroyed any communication infrastructure as soon as they entered the system.
Commander, I'm receiving a signal over the secondary QEC.
However, after leaving Mars, we find out the Normandy has yet another QEC, a secondary one. What does that even mean? Is the primary QEC still active and connected to Chronos Station? If not, what happened to it? And where would the new primary QEC connect to? In any case, this secondary QEC is conveniently linked to Admiral Hackett's ship, which would have us assume that at some point the refit of the SR-2 included this addition. Why didn't Hackett just use this QEC to contact Shepard the first time? Based on what we've been told, getting to the Mars archives was of paramount importance, so why risk Shepard not getting the full context of Hackett's orders due to signal interference? This type of transmission could also be intercepted by the Reapers or Cerberus. So this secondary QEC requires some extra suspension of disbelief. Fortunately, this at least doesn't seem to violate any established precedent in the story. This, however, does.
Commander, did you get to the archives? Shepard, I got Anderson patched in.
Edie, can you clear this up?
It's all bull, Shepard.
Signal interference on a QEC?
Bullshit.
In addition to these oddities, why is the QEC on the Normandy heavily tinted in blue instead of full color like it was in Mass Effect 2? And why does it require the use of this odd blue circuitry pattern we came across on the mysterious Shadow Broker ship? These changes seem to have no plausible justification, given that the technology was already clearly defined in Mass Effect 2.
This ship is incredible. It must have taken decades to build in secret.
I wonder what happened to the contractors.
I think we can guess.
You worked in Alliance R&D?
Yes. You'd think quantum entanglement.
Most of these changes serve no purpose, make no sense, or both. And these changes are typically introduced to us by Traynor in the form of nonsensical jargon, double talk, and buzzwords.
But imagine incorporating multiple incoming sources.
Wait, what?
The system is strictly point-to-point.
And then networking them with extrapolations of time-lag data.
What are you talking about?
This allows lag-free communication even when you operate off the comm grid.
Construct a coherent situation GUI.
That makes no sense.
That's good, I like it.
Oh, come on.
Shepard, I got Anderson patched in. I was just getting...
I don't think that's gonna work.
Damned if you aren't a sight for sore eyes.
Good to see you too, sir. Wait, what?
Feeling defensive, Commander? It's almost as though you're having trouble adjusting to a new environment with a new set of rules.
This technology seems to be wielded so frivolously throughout the story that in some cases it literally winks in and out of existence whenever the situation calls for it.
Shepard.
Elusive man.
Goodbye, Shepard.
Shepard. It's not here. It's being erased.
Yes, Commander. Is there someone you'd like to reach?
Dalatras. Counselor?
Miranda.
Valerian Counselor has Kasumi Goto, Steve Cortez, Grunt, Jack, Samara.
Admiral?
Zen out.
Getting a lot of bullshit on this line.
Is there someone else I can connect you to?
Jacob Taylor.
It's all bull, Shepard.
On that, we can agree.
Did BioWare establish this piece of lore based on real-life science, only to completely disregard it in the very next game?
All other communications cut.
What did they find?
Okay, I'll try to stay calm.
Do you feel a pulse? Steve!
So do we just assume there are QECs littered everywhere? Or do we...
Shepard, wake up! She's freezing!
Leviathan's mental restraints are odd. Why add sensations of darkness or cold?
Commander! Snap out of it! As a favor to me, I'm asking you to go in alone.
I'm trapped in here.
Look at this place. There's no war here.
It's true. But aside from my confinement, I'm fine.
You will remain here as a servant of our means. There is no war. There is only the harvest.
Everything back on Earth was some kind of nightmare. It's all just an illusion. They're in for a rude awakening.
May you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead.
You have choice, more than you know.
Warning, collision imminent.
If there is to be a new solution, you must act.
Go out there and give them hell. You were born to do this.
I wanted to say goodbye. If we come back from this at all, everything will be different.
Sure, everything will change, but on our terms. We've been running until now, Miranda. It has to stop. This isn't goodbye. You have to believe we're not done yet.
Listening to you, I can believe it.
Good.
It is a terror to be trapped in your mind.
Your time is at an end. You must decide.
No. I'm gonna end this war on my terms. We can get off this asteroid.
No, we cannot. All you had to do was stay asleep. None of this had to happen.
Then you will die knowing that you failed to save everything you fought for.
They'll come around. They've got to.
All right. Let's get this over with.
Do what you must.
In
Only your actions will be remembered. May you choose them well. Farewell.